The X-Men's ever-shifting moral compass is like the heartbeat of their stories. It's what makes old allies clash and leads to some of Marvel's most heart-wrenching stories. These mutants have been pushed to the edge more times than we can count, and sometimes even the most iconic heroes among them have crossed over to the dark side. Take the original X-Men squad: Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, and Beast. They've all had their moments when they went from heroes to legit threats to the world. Cyclops, for instance, went full-on Dark Phoenix once. Marvel Girl, also known as Jean Grey, had her infamous Phoenix Saga. Angel transformed into the Dark Archangel. So in this video, we will explore the OG X-Men who did nasty things and crossed over to the villainous side after ditching their moral high ground. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. 1. Professor X. So, what I am about to tell you has to be one of the trippiest scuffles in X-Men history. In New X-Men number 121, Professor Charles Xavier, the big brain of the X-Men, fought his first ever psychic duel. But here's the thing, it all went down in his mom's womb. Cassandra Nova was Xavier's evil twin. In Shi'ar lore, she's what you'd call a Mumudre, basically a spirit doppelganger that you've got to face before you're even born. Now, because Xavier's such a powerhouse, his Mumudre, Cassandra, levels up from just being a spooky spirit to becoming a full-on physical twin. So how does this prenatal battle royale play out? In New X-Men number 121, we find Professor X trapped in Cassandra Nova's comatose mind. Jean Grey and Emma Frost, the X-Men's top telepaths after Xavier, jump into his mind to save him. Inside Xavier's head, they stumble upon his first battle memory. Xavier and Cassandra were still in the womb when Cassandra woke up first and got nasty. She used their umbilical cord to strangle Xavier. Xavier, in a tight spot, unleashed a massive psionic blast. That blast was so intense it caused their mom to fall down the stairs, which led to a miscarriage. Cassandra was born stillborn, but Xavier survived. But Cassandra's story didn't end there. She was still around, which led to the mental face-off in the first place. So yeah, Xavier had a win under his belt even before he was born. And say what you will, he did kill his twin in the womb. But if you still think that's not entirely evil, since Cassandra was evil and all that, let me introduce you to Onslaught. In the Fatal Attractions story arc, Xavier, in a face-off with his frenemy Magneto, goes all out and rips through Magneto's mind. What he doesn't realize is that he's also letting Magneto's darkest bits, his deep-seated hate and anger, get all tangled up with his own inner demons. That's how Onslaught is born, a freaky mix of Xavier and Magneto's worst traits, all power and no morals. Still don't think he's not villainous enough? I've got you covered. So Professor X isn't always the saint he seems to be. The guy's got a controlling streak and doesn't shy away from messing with people's heads to get his way. There was this one time he tried to physically force his lover to stay with him, and the comics have dropped hints that Xavier's been bottling up some pretty dark stuff. Like, there was this creepy moment from a Stan Lee story where he was all morose over his feelings for Jean Grey, who was way younger than him. In fact, she was underage back then. He didn't act on it, but not because it was wrong. He was just bummed about being in a wheelchair. Finally, in Powers of X number 6, Moira McTaggart, who's been living and dying and living again, is trying to play puppet master with Xavier using her future intel. She's worried that messing with his head might crack him open and let something wild out. 2. Jean Grey. Jean's Phoenix form is practically a god-level powerhouse, right? But it also comes with a much darker side, aptly called the Dark Phoenix. The story of her transformation into the Dark Phoenix starts when the Phoenix gets tangled up with the Hellfire Club. Led by Mastermind, the group messes with her mind big time. They even make her the Black Queen of their inner circle. But Jean's obviously no pushover. She breaks free from Mastermind's grip, but the damage is done. She morphs into the Dark Phoenix, a way more powerful and way more dangerous version of herself. She zips through the universe and, in a terrifying display of power, gobbles up a whole star, wiping out 5 billion people on a nearby planet. When she comes back to Earth, all she wants is to bring the apocalypse. But Professor X steps in to rein her in and helps her find a bit of her old self. In the midst of all this cosmic chaos, Scott Summers, also known as Cyclops, decides it's proposal time. Talk about bad timing, right? But before they can even think about wedding bells, the Shi'ar show up. They've seen what Dark Phoenix can do and are not cool with it. So they whisk the X-Men off to the moon for a battle with their Imperial Guard. Here, Phoenix flips back into her Dark Phoenix mode. She realizes she's a ticking time bomb, a danger to everyone. She says goodbye to Scott and sacrifices herself to stop the possibility of further destruction. But that's not the only villainous version of Jean Grey. We also have ourselves a Jean from Earth 9575, who called herself the Red Queen. She was exiled from Earth 9575 for some serious crimes, so she appeared on Earth 998 and pretended to be the resurrected Queen Madeline I. However, when Nate Gray from Earth 2098 dropped by, the Red Queen saw him as the ultimate weapon, but he was unstable. So, she slapped a genetic insignia on him to steady his powers, but it fried his brain, and he went bonkers. So she had to take care of him. Though she thought she had killed him, Nate survived. Jean then hit the road, hopping across realities, hunting for the perfect Nate Gray. But all she found were duds until she landed on Earth 616. Here, she bumped into Nate Gray from Earth 295, and, keeping up her Madeline Pryor act, started pulling his strings. Later, she took him off to Earth 998. Her grand plan was to use him to wipe out Asia, and her ultimate goal was world domination. As for her powers, Jean, masquerading as Madeline Pryor, had initially self-imposed limits. She believed she was Madeline from Earth 616, with only Madeline's memories. Everyone thought she was just a reanimated corpse or a shadow of Madeline's memories. Initially, her powers seemed tied to Nate Gray, but later, she revealed her own abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, and even some Phoenix-level feats. As the Red Queen, she amped up her game by absorbing life forces and power from other sources, though she wasn't limitless. One of her scarier tricks was blowing folks up with just a thought, which reminds me of The Boys TV show. 3. Beast. In the latest twist of the Krakoa era, Beast from the X-Men has taken a walk on the dark side. Once a founding member and a former Avenger known for his morals, he's now spending most of his time doing whatever it takes for Krakoa's greater good, even if it means getting his hands dirty. We're talking serious stuff here, like embracing murder as a legit strategy. In Wolverine number 31 by Benjamin Percy, the titular character manages to give the Beast a taste of his own medicine, but this only pushes Beast further into villain territory. This dude's gone so far off the deep end that it's tough to see him getting back on the hero track. Post-Wolverine Showdown, Beast's contingency plan is a clone of him cooked up in the X-Force labs. In fact, Beast has set up a skull-shaped base, all part of some massive Krakoan tech, and has planted it under the sea. His first act as the bad guy is blowing up a UN sub near Krakoa, which was there for a little snoop around the mutant nation. His rationale is that a future for mutants justifies any action, no matter how grim. Naturally, the Beast's version of protecting mutant kind means crossing lines most wouldn't dare. Now, Beast has made it his day job cloning and turning his and his allies' copies into living weapons. But there's a glimmer of hope for a different, more heroic Beast down the line. Despite his current path, there may be a way to bring back the Beast we all know and love, minus all this Dark Era baggage. Before Beast left Krakoa, he pretty much scrubbed snubbed all his backup clones, making it impossible to resurrect him if he died. But he left one version of himself untouched, an old-school version from his Avenger days. What this means is, if the current Beast gets taken down, Krakoa's got the option to bring back the Beast from the good old days. 4. Cyclops. So, Cyclops turned all evil during the Avengers vs. X-Men saga. But even before that, people were raising questions about Cyclops' new militant style of protecting his kind. Cyclops and Wolverine had a major fallout over how to handle a Sentinel threat on Utopia. Wolverine bailed and headed back to Westchester to restart the school, while Cyclops formed the Extinction Team, the X-Men's heavy hitters. When Nova crashed with news about the Phoenix Force heading to Earth, it seemed that all hell was about to break loose. Cyclops thought this cosmic firebird was gonna be the mutant comeback ticket, so he started training Hope Summers, his daughter. But Captain America was like, nah, this Phoenix thing spells disaster for Earth. He rocked up at Utopia to take Hope into protective custody. But Cyclops was not cool with it. He blasted Cap into the ocean, and just like that, the two legendary superhero teams entered a battle. The Avengers brought the heat and launched an all-out invasion of Utopia. Cyclops and the X-Men teleported out and threw the Avengers off their trail. Cyclops even got his daughter Rachel to send the Avengers on a wild goose chase. He then tried to recruit Wolverine and any other willing mutants to his cause. The scuffle escalated when Cyclops and his team, including Emma Frost, Magik, Namor, and Colossus, teleported to the moon to confront the Avengers. Thor crashed down, followed by the Phoenix. A massive fight broke out, and Iron Man's attempt to take down the Phoenix ended up splitting it into 5 parts, turning Cyclops and company into the Phoenix Five. Now wielding cosmic powers, Cyclops and his Phoenix pals started reshaping the world, outlawing wars and providing resources globally. But the Avengers were still not on board because they still feared the worst. Things got further complicated when Cyclops declared no more Avengers after they convinced Hope to leave with them. As the Phoenix Five's power grew, so did tensions. Emma and Cyclops got more powerful as they absorbed the Phoenix from the others. Cyclops, now supercharged, stormed Kunlun to get Hope. He took down everyone in his way, including Xiao-Lao the dragon. But Hope, now powered up with the dragon's might and Scarlet Witch's magic, managed to beat Cyclops and sent him back to the moon. The X-Men realized they backed the wrong horse and joined forces with the Avengers. Professor X stepped in to try and shut Cyclops down, but it was too late. Cyclops, now the sole Phoenix host, lost control and transformed into Dark Phoenix and killed Xavier. Hope and Scarlet Witch finally managed to kick the Phoenix out of Cyclops. In fact, they used its power to reignite the mutant population. 5. Angel. Angel's backstory in the revised timeline is a bit murky. It is believed that he was ditched by his rich family because of his mutation, or maybe he bailed on them. Either way, dude ended up in a mutant fight club. In 1983, Angel was making waves in a Berlin fight club where mutants duked it out. He was a bit of a champ there, and even knocked out Blob, which was his 10th win. But then he faced Nightcrawler, who dodged more and fought less. Angel told him that if they did not fight, both of them would be toast. Nightcrawler finally stepped up, but in the tussle, Angel crashed into an electric fence, messing up one of his wings. Both of them managed to get out of there, with Mystique swooping in to save Nightcrawler. Post-Fight Club, Angel was hiding out, drowning in his sorrows, until Apocalypse showed up with an offer to join his crew, the Four Horsemen. Apocalypse gave Angel a wing upgrade, swapping out the damaged ones for some metal ones. Pretty cool to look at. They headed over to Xavier's mansion, snatched Charles, and went off to Cairo. There, the X-Men showed up to fight Apocalypse and his crew. Angel was there guarding Apocalypse and ended up in round 2 with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler got crafty, trapping Angel for a bit, but Angel wasn't down for long and broke free. The drama heated up when the X-Men grabbed Charles and were zooming away in their jet. Angel and Psylocke went after them. Psylocke sliced into the jet, and they both jumped in. But Nightcrawler was quick with his teleporting moves. He zapped them out as Jean Grey was messing with the jet's controls. Psylocke landed safely, but Angel was not so lucky. The jet crashed with him inside. Later, Apocalypse stumbled upon Angel, out cold and bloodied, and wrote him off as useless. 6. Iceman. In the twisted world of the Age of the Apocalypse, Iceman, usually the chill and fun-loving X-Men member, becomes seriously sinister. This alternate reality kicks off when Legion, Charles Xavier's time-traveling son, tries to take out Magneto in the past. Instead, Xavier bites the bullet, which saves Magneto, but not without sparking a nightmarish scenario where Apocalypse rises to power way earlier than expected. In this harsh new world, Iceman, one of the original X-Men, gets a serious reality check from Magneto. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Magneto pushes him to max out his powers. This Iceman is a force to be reckoned with, way more intense than his Earth 616 counterpart. Yes, he sure can make them ice slides, but the dude can also clone himself and zip around by merging with any water source. He can even take over people's bodies and put them back to normal. This version of Iceman is all business, and he's cool with killing. He's right there in the thick of it. First he fights against Apocalypse, and later against Weapon X, who's gone off the deep end as a new Apocalypse variant. Feeling like he's had enough of this brutal life, Iceman switches his allegiance. When the uncanny X-Force shows up, he sides with Dark Beast and becomes the sinister Iceman. In Uncanny X-Force number 24 by Rick Remender and Phil Noto, Nightcrawler tracks down sinister Iceman in Madripoor. They duke it out in a furnace room, where the heat cranks down Iceman's powers. Nightcrawler, fueled by rage and betrayal, goes full beast mode, beating Iceman to a pulp and finishing him off by shoving him into the furnace. It's a brutal end for what's probably the darkest version of Iceman out there. A grim reminder of how even the literally coolest heroes can meet a fiery end if they switch over to the dark side. So yeah, that was our list of the original X-Men members doing all kinds of bad shit. But most of them found their way back. They've gone through this wild roller coaster of good and bad, showing us that redemption is always possible, no matter how far you stray. It's part of what keeps the X-Men stories so real and relatable. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.